Hello, I'm back. The moment I appear is the moment the darkness rolls in, so make sure your doors are really locked. Even a single draft through a crack can give the demons your scent and tell them where you hide. People like to call today a gift. I don't. To me, every day is a sealed chest, and you never know whether the courier came from heaven or from hell. Everything that arrives from hell brings one thing with it: death. The victims in the story I'm about to tell you received one of those cursed chests. Before we open it together, do the sensible thing. Like, share, and subscribe so the next box doesn't end up on your doorstep. The story begins in...
This woman slow-cooked her children alive. Now, almost 7 years later, she got a life sentence for it. In October of 2017, Lamora Williams came home and called the police saying she found her 2 sons dead, but she was the one that put them in the oven and turned it on. This happened in Atlanta, Georgia, and her sons were only 1 and 2 at the time. After police found it suspicious and found burn marks all over the kids, they investigated a little further. After digging further, they found out Lamora Williams lied and did not even have the children's caregiver around. She didn't have a babysitter, and she didn't have any family around to watch them. Investigators found out she probably put the boys in the oven the night before, turned it on, and then tipped it over so they couldn't get out. The autopsy of their skin found the burn marks were equivalent to being slow cooked for about 8 to 12 hours, maybe even more. After Williams did this, she FaceTimed the father, Jamil Penn. In an interview, he said it was like Friday the 13th. He called the police immediately after seeing this. Last week on Friday, November 15th, she was served a life sentence in prison. Her mother also cited Lamora Williams has a ton of mental health issues that may have led to this. Her 2 sons' names were Jacarter Penn and Keontae Penn. Let me know what you guys think about this story.
I once loved my microwave. It was my savior on nights when I was too tired to cook. But after hearing this story, I'll never look at it the same way again. Imagine this. You're starving. You walk to your kitchen, open the microwave expecting the smell of roasted chicken. But instead, you find the charred remains of 2 children. The air thickens with the stench of burning flesh, smoke curling like black serpents through the room. Tell me, is that not the scent of hell itself? That microwave had become a crematory, and the demon behind it, a twisted chef, proud of her masterpiece. Her gourmet dish came at the price of 2 innocent souls. So tell me, could you live under the same roof as that creature pretending to be a mother? Comment below and let me know. The next story tells of a boy who lived in a house that had everything: a father, a mother, a roof overhead, except love. What happened to him was something that even death might envy. Picture this: a home where laughter never blooms, where the air is thick with screams and the sound of a child begging for mercy. Then one day, all of it stops. No cries, no footsteps. Only silence, heavy, endless, and wrong. You don't need to be told what happened. Deep down, you already know. The boy is gone, and the house has finally swallowed its last sound.
2 Texas parents arrested for the torture and murder of their 10-year-old adopted son. In San Antonio, Texas, Jonathan Miranda, 34, and Christina Miranda, 32, were arrested and charged with capital murder following the death of their adopted son, Michael Miranda, aged 10. On September 24, 2025, police were called to the couple's home after Michael was found unresponsive. Despite the efforts of emergency responders, the child died at the scene. The investigation revealed that Michael showed signs of chronic abuse: bruises, abrasions, broken ribs at various stages of healing, a dislocated arm, and internal injuries consistent with a year of repeated beatings. Investigators believe Michael had been confined in a laundry room for nearly a year, where he endured hunger, isolation, and daily torture. Surviving children reported that Michael was hit with paddles, thrown to the ground, and forced to stand for long periods. Charts documenting his behavior were displayed on the walls of the room where he was kept. The medical examiner confirmed that the death was a homicide caused by an intestinal injury from blunt force trauma. The parents were arrested on October 1st and remain in custody without bond. Police described the crime as calculated, cruel, and targeted, the deliberate murder of a child already weakened by abuse and starvation.
That house now goes by another name. Hell. Those parents were nothing more than demons wearing human skin. They beat and tortured their child so relentlessly that his wounds lived on, carved into him through the years. He was only 10, yet the scars he bore could have been counted 10 times over his age. Every second in that house was like being plunged into a sea of fire. Pain, despair, and a suffering that never let up. Those demons may now sit behind bars, but in their hearts they are likely brimming with cruel satisfaction, proud that they completed their mission, sending an innocent life away forever. Let prison become a second hell for them, as merciless and inhuman as the house they made. From this moment on, they must pay back everything they stole from that small life, even the life itself. Are you loved by your parents? If the answer is yes, then let me truly congratulate you. But don't celebrate too soon. Life is a twisted chain of surprises, and no one can ever predict what comes next. So you might want to hit like and share now, before your home turns into a hell just like the one in the last story. Because the next story I'm about to tell you is far darker, far more terrifying than anything you've heard before. Make sure your heartbeat is steady, because just moments from now, I can't promise it will stay that way. Ready? The story begins in
I would kill him again.
Why did you take the decision to pile the bodies on top of each other in a freezer?
What do you mean?
Why did you do that?
Well, I only had one deep freezer. I mean, take the decision to pile the bodies on top of each other. Where was she gonna go?
How did you conceivably sleep at night?
I slept well. Of course, at first I cried. It was up because I had to let go of all of that. There were no other options. I'm not playing crazy. I wasn't in depression. None of that. It's no excuse for rape, period.
According to police reports, you ordered your eldest daughter to physically lift the body of one of your children.
No, I didn't tell her to lift the body.
You didn't ever consider turning yourself in?
If my son told me that he did not want me to go after what happened with Stephen, after I killed son, do you really think I was about to turn myself in because of her? Hell no. No. No.
And you feel no remorse for that?
I would kill him again.
Oh my gosh. She killed her 2 children and hid their bodies in the freezer for 3 whole years. Those children kept existing beside her, not in beds or playrooms, but in the cold dark of the refrigerator. What could make someone do that? If it wasn't money, then what was the reason? Maybe there was none. We humans usually need a reason. Monsters do not. They act to sate the hunger gnawing inside them. She said she cried at first after she killed them. But what meaning is that when she also confessed she would do it again if time turned back? The freezer became an ice coffin, as cold as the blood in that demon mother's heart. The 2 innocent children are now frozen corpses, pale, empty, without breath or blood. that mother in a human mask will receive her due punishment, such as the law of life. Did that story chill you to the bone? Tell me in the comments. But this is not the final story. The last story is always the cruelest. Before it begins, hit like and share. I can't promise you'll be as safe afterward if you don't. No need to rush. The next story starts right now.
This woman unalived her children and hid them in a storage unit before moving abroad and changing her identity. Her name is Haekyong Lee, and her chilling crimes happened in New Zealand. It all started back in 2006 when Lee met a man named Ian Joe at a church. They fell in love, got married, and started what seemed like a happy family. They had 2 children, Yuna, born in 2009, and Minu, born in 2012. For years, they lived like a normal, happy family. But in November 2017, everything changed when Ian passed away from cancer. Lee was very heartbroken, and family members said the tragedy completely changed her. Soon, she started pulling away from people and acting strangely. She even told family members that she wanted her and her children to join her husband, but they didn't take her serious. Over the next year, Lee's behavior grew increasingly unusual. She began spending huge amounts of money on luxury hotels and overseas trips with her children, and it all looked like she was giving them a good life. But in June 2018, she did the unthinkable. She mixed a dangerous substance into juice, gave it to her kids, and they never woke up. Instead of reporting the incident, she wrapped their bodies, placed them inside 2 suitcases, and left them in a storage unit in Auckland. She then relocated to South Korea, changed her identity, and started a new life. 4 years later, in August 2022, a family bought the contents of that abandoned storage unit at an auction. When they opened 2 of the suitcases, they found the remains of Yuna and Minu. Detectives later traced the case back to Lee, who was already living in South Korea. She was eventually arrested and later extradited back to New Zealand to face charges. Her trial lasted just 2 weeks, and in the end, the jury found her guilty. She'll be sentenced in November 2025, and she faces life in prison.
Love can make life brighter, but sometimes it clouds the mind into madness. The woman in this story lost her reason to a fevered obsession. Her husband was dead, but she wanted to drag his body and 2 innocent children into the grave with him. That thought was a roaring flame that never died. She hid it behind a mask of luxury trips and false smiles. Then one day the mask burned away, and the 2 children were forced to open the coffin of fate. The juice they drank that day was mixed with fake affection and a dangerous substance. That glass of juice stole their lives forever. She was the ringleader of a horror. She didn't bother with funerals. She shoved their bodies into a suitcase, put on a new mask, and fled to another country to live a different life. But the darkness she poured onto those children has now come crashing down on the rest of her days. She deserves the torment she receives. That is the price for such cruelty and cold-bloodedness. Darkness walks among us. If you don't want it to swallow you, stay alert, hit like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!